Welcome back, parents, and thank you guys again for joining us for our 6th Parenting During a Pandemic session, focusing on healthy habits. We really appreciate all of your support through this unprecedented time. This is our counseling team's opportunity to connect with you and provide you some necessary information to help you navigate through the virtual remote school year. Just a reminder, please know that we are recording this presentation and we'll be emailing it out to everyone by the end of the week. We will include the links to this presentation, the PowerPoint, and all the resources that we shared today. So we would like to also reintroduce our STEM administration. And here you will see that we have our STEM director, Dr. Law, as well as Ms. Howell, who is our Dean of Students. Again, I am Mrs. Castanon and I work directly with students' last names, LL through Z. And today we have Mrs. Cabal, who is back and working with our students' last names A to LI. As counselors, it is our goal to serve students and their families in the areas of academic, college and career, and social emotional wellness. We advocate for students, provide them a supportive environment, and help guide them towards their career and life goals. We do this by providing school-wide curriculum, small groups, and when necessary, individually. I will send it over to Mrs. Gonzalez.
I am the intervention counselor for both campuses, STEM and our regular ERHS campus, main campus. And my job is to just be extra support in the realm of social emotional learning and just mental health awareness and wellness. And so I'm very excited to be here tonight again. So our agenda is, as always, our goal is always that we want to give you tips, tools, skills to support your student, as well as build our village, even if it's virtual. We still call it our virtual village. Our session tonight will be about 15 to 20 minutes, and we are going to be talking about healthy habits, school, and life. And so we thought we would start with, what are habits? What is a habit? So habits are rituals and behaviors that we perform automatically, allowing us to carry out essential activities. There's 3 groups of habits, so we can put them into 3 different categories. Number 1 are habits that we don't notice, so they're subconscious, because they have been part of our lives. So it might be, if you've ever noticed you've been driving home and all of a sudden you're home and you're like, how did I do that? That's kind of like a habit that becomes subconscious. Not always a good thing, but it does happen. And then number 2 are habits that are good for us and which we work hard on establishing, like exercising, eating well, or getting enough sleep. Of things we're very intentional with and that we want to do. We want to have good habits. And then our third one is our habits that are bad for us, like stress eating. That's one of my ones I work on. Procrastinating or even overspending. These are all habits that aren't very good for us. They're not very healthy. Our unconscious habits free up resources for our brains to carry out other more complex tasks, like solving problems or deciding what to make for dinner. So our good habits fall into that realm of, our unconscious gives us that chance to make more good habits. So that's our thing tonight. We're going to talk about how do we do that. And now I'm going to let Ms. Castanon take us off.
All right, so thank you, Mrs. Gonzalez, for sharing information on habits and specifically the 3 groups of habits. I'd like to move into our healthy and unhealthy ones now in life and in academics for our students. This is important for us to know as adults and of course to share with our students. An interesting fact that I would like for us to know comes from researchers from Duke University, where their study showed that over 40% of what we do is determined not by decisions, but by habits. This gives me hope and lets me know that we can change our own bad habits or help our students change their bad habits when it comes to academics and just life in general. Having this knowledge and understanding that we can make changes is, if we choose to, is key to finding new ways to change our habits for the better. And the best way to change your bad habits is to directly replace them with new ones. When we create a habit, our brains create new neurological pathways, allowing you to more easily use those habits. So in this slide that we see, you will see all the healthy and unhealthy habits that we may engage in. I'd like for you to look at this chart and determine how many of these habits do you have? Are they under the healthy or unhealthy section? We heard that 40% of what we do is based on habits. So what can we do to change that unhealthy habit to a healthier one? So for example, in my case, a few months ago, I realized I was eating too much processed food, junk food, and I knew it was not a healthy habit for many reasons. I made the choice to stop and made a few adjustments. I created new habits. I meal prepped, cooked on Sunday nights to make sure I had dinner ready for a few days. And it was a new routine. And after practicing it for a few weeks, it became a habit. And stopping by a drive-through is no longer needed. So making that choice to change and put effort into this new habit helped me break that old one. So that is just one example. Another thing that we want to make sure you guys do is to be healthy is to set some time aside. Do something that you love. Read a book, take walks, family bike rides. So many options, and we have some resources and ideas at the very end in our links that you guys are welcome to check out. Connect with your friends, families, loved ones. Surround yourself with positive people. Remind yourself that emotions are contagious. Being around positive people helps building those relationships and support systems. And since emotions are contagious, you'll be with all the positive emotions yourself. Talk about feelings. It's very healthy to express and deal with emotions. And giving our students that space to do the same is also key. Something as simple as making sure you go to sleep and de-stress and unplug from social media, especially tonight when there's a lot going on. We have an election. There's social media can be an amazing place or a not so amazing place. So maybe just unplugging for a day may help. In our next slide, we are going to talk a little bit more about healthy and unhealthy school habits. As we shared in our last info session, our STEM students are wanting to attend college. They get involved with extracurricular activities, have commitments with family, community, and more. Their time is consumed with all these activities, and academics is taking a large portion of their time, which, like we mentioned before, it is not a bad situation when it's an occasional thing. But we know sometimes we need to remind our students to set some time aside, stick to a schedule, and make sure that they have brain breaks, make sure that they're eating, that they're having snack breaks, that they're taking a minute to stretch. We can always remind our students to sleep at a certain time to help them to make sure to support them about sleeping at a certain time. We may want to collect all devices at a set time every night so that we remove distractions and allow their brains to relax, and then that will set the tone for them to fall asleep, and their brain will have less clutter, less going on in their minds to where it's ready to sleep and relax. Always encourage your student to ask for help when needed. Again, we're in a pandemic where their learning environment has changed drastically, and we know it takes a village, and our teachers, staff, all of us here are part of their village. So that is some info for you guys on habits, and I will hand it over to Mrs. Cabal.
Thank you, Mrs. Castanon. So we know what habits are, and we've identified healthy habits and unhealthy habits. So really, where do we start? Where do we start changing our unhealthy habits? From what Mrs. Castanon mentioned, we know the importance of developing healthy habits, and that 40% of what we do on a daily basis is considered a habit. And it can seem pretty daunting if we want to change all of our unhealthy habits at once. So we may feel overwhelmed if we try to do that. But what we can do is start small and change one habit at a time. So Mrs. Castanon mentioned that a couple months ago, she altered her eating habits. She identified that she had an unhealthy habit of eating processed or junk food and wanted to change this one for a healthier one. And so she started small. And one thing you can always do with something like eating healthier is to not purchase processed or junk foods, because if it's not in the kitchen, then we can't grab it easily. And then you can go into not buying any fast food when you're out. And then from there, you can start creating positive habits that you enjoy. So for Mrs. Castanon, that was meal prepping on Sundays, and it included foods that she enjoyed so that throughout the week she would be able to be happy to really consume those foods. And we know that in the week we can get so busy, and that when we're busy, we tend to grab whatever's quick and easy, and that's usually junk food, at least it is for me. But by having the meals prepped, you can eliminate the junk food that's in the house and go to healthier meals. And then of course, if you make it social, it makes it easier because you have your family that's involved in eating healthier, you have your friends that are involved in eating healthier, and you have somebody who is going to keep you accountable week by week. So for example, for our students, maybe they identify that their unhealthy habit is procrastination. Where they can always start is start small. One thing that I like to do with the students is have them develop their schedule. So they literally physically print out a schedule of what their week looks like. They would include sleeping, school time, homework time, video game or TV time, family and friends time, basic care like showering, eating, etc., and block it out within a weekly schedule. And so they could physically see on a piece of paper how they spend their time in a week and what their schedules look like. And then from there, print out a second schedule and have them jot down what they believe a productive schedule would look like. And so this has to, of course, include time that they enjoy and that they can stick to and that they have self-care. But the schedule should always be realistic so that they, jot down if they regularly spend 30 minutes on homework, they're not now saying that they spend 40 minutes a day on, or I'm sorry, 4 hours a day on homework, but something more realistic, like 30 minutes a day on homework, and then now they're adjusting it to maybe an hour and a half that they're spending on homework, but making sure that their new schedule is realistic. And then after they've established and developed a habit there in keeping this schedule and this routine, they can start adjusting it to spending more and more time on homework and studying. And then from there, they are able to tackle all of their work in a timely manner. So they're not stressing out all at the end when they're procrastinating, but they have a set schedule. And so we want to make sure that our students are developing these healthy habits, and through repeated practices, and it takes a few weeks. We know it takes several weeks, 10 weeks even, to develop these healthy habits. They will start lessening how much they procrastinate. And then definitely, for those of you who joined us throughout this journey, we have 2 meetings left, and we thank you guys for coming tonight. Just know that all the other sessions have been recorded and they can be found on our YouTube account. Our next info session is on November 17th, and we'll go over what it looks like to parent high achieving students and support them throughout their high school journey and beyond. So be sure to join us on YouTube Live on November 17th for this particular session. And then, of course, we have these academic, college and career mental health wellness resources for you that we will be sending out in a follow-up email. So be sure to check these resources out for yourself as well as for your students. And we have these ways for you to stay connected with us. We have a Remind for Parents that you can join for 9th and 10th and 11th and 12th. And we have our contact information here. But thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.